What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I am your host, TJ Zwarich. Thank you so much for traveling to a galaxy far, far away to join us to talk about some Skeleton Crew. Joined, as always, by my co-host and good friend, Damon Gray. How you doing, Damon?
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. You need to say something more than that in the intro and not just throw it back to me that quick.
I keep it nice. I keep it quick. I keep it snappy, buddy. You know that.
Back-to-back weeks with us, talking some Skeleton Crew, one of our favorite Star Wars and Old Republic experts from the Reckless Rebellion podcast, TCR, Thomas Carter Rochester. How you doing, buddy?
Hello there. We are doing. It's been a long day. It's going to be a long night until we're done, and then I'm going to bed.
And joining us as well, fresh off a very exciting Star Wars related announcement. Welcome back to the pod, Arzeou Amin of the Geeky Waffle and not Collider anymore, but other things as well. Am I right?
A little bit Collider. I still do recaps there, but
many hats for
the Geeky Waffle, Collider, Star Wars Insider, Marvelous Geeks, all of that stuff.
Talk to let the people know where I teased it a little bit, but you're headed to another continent for some Star Wars celebration.
Yes. So the Geeky Waffle has several podcasts under our umbrella, including Space Waffles, our Star Wars podcast. And at Star Wars Celebration Japan this spring, my co-host Candace and I will be on the HoloNet news stage on Sunday afternoon if you are going. So please come say hello.
Super cool. Anything panel related at those big stuff. It's at those big conventions. It's such a cool thing when you get to see people you know on the stage. So congratulations for that. Definitely go check them out. If you are attending Star Wars Celebration, shout out to Arzeou, shout out to our friend Candace as well, former guest of the podcast. So definitely go check that one out. And we're excited to chat some Star Wars today. So if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, help us battle that YouTube algorithm and boost this community. And that only happens if you're smashing that like button. So please do that for us and follow the Agents of Fandom on TikTok and Twitter at Agents Fandom, Agents of Fandom on Facebook and Instagram, everywhere else. Before we dive into Skeleton Crew, I want to still do an edition of Whatcha Watchin because I've actually been watching things this week. I've been watching a couple movies. I've watched some TV shows. I feel like I have something to contribute to this segment other than just I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. Damon, how about you? What you been watching?
This is rare for me too. I can actually contribute to this as well. I've been doing a little prep, a little excitement, a lot of binge watching for Nosferatu, which is coming out on Christmas Day. So I've been doing a lot of Dracula reading and a lot of Dracula movie watching, and of course the original 1922 Dracula or 1922 Nosferatu, the 1979 Nosferatu I did yesterday, and then pretty much every Dracula under the brim since then. So it's hilarious, dude, because it's pretty much the same story every single time. Maybe some slight twists here and there, but you're kind of sitting down and you're like, here we go again. Another man on his way to go sell some real estate every time.
Arzeou, how about you? What have you been watching? Whether it's, just for works, doing recaps, or on your own time for fun. And also, if you've been playing games, if you've been reading something, feel free to throw that in as well.
So I'm recapping Elspeth at Collider right now, which is a procedural police drama on CBS, which I adore. It's very funny, so I recommend it. But I'm very late to the party in terms of my recreational stuff that I've been watching and playing and such. So I just started watching Agatha All Along. Extremely late to that, and even later still to Jedi Survivor, which I just started. So,
that's exciting though. How are you enjoying the game so far?
I have not gotten very far. I've gotten as far as the ship right at the beginning with the Chancellor on board. We got him, and now we're on to the next part. And then I had to stop, and then work got chaotic, so I haven't been able to go back. But I'm gonna play over Christmas. I'm gonna try to see how far I can get.
one of my very favorite video games. So looking forward to hearing how you enjoy that one. TCR, how about you? What you been watching?
You know, I was here last week. I don't think I was watching anything the week before other than football. And this week, I think it's just been football and wrestling. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting primed for what's going on with SmackDown coming up. It's coming to Florida in a couple weeks. I'm hoping I can sneak my way in there backstage, meet somebody, not get punched in the face. You never know what'll happen. I don't live that close to Tampa, so we'll see what happens there. But Raw goes to Netflix on January 6th. That's exciting. To honestly, one of my favorite wrestling quotes in the world right now is I can't stop. My girlfriend just cracks up every time I do it because it's become a really dumb bit that I just can't let go of. So, it's about it. Football, lots of football. I'm going camping this weekend. So I'm not only am I going to have no self-service, I am missing the first round of the college football playoffs, heartbreak, as well as every single NFL game other than Thursday night, heartbreak, because I'm playing my girlfriend in fantasy. So wish me luck. Not her. I love you. Capri. Not her. Wish me the luck.
I hope she beats you. I got the chance to see episode 3 and 4 of Marvel's What If coming soon to Disney Plus. It was what if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier, and what if Howard the Duck got hitched. So couple of fun episodes, not as maybe consequential as I hoped for, with the teases of this leading up to kind of a big event and a reason that What If is coming to a close. But I did still enjoy the 2 episodes of What If. I'm very excited to see the rest of it. We will be chatting live shows here for What If. Not every single day because it goes through the holidays, but 2 to 3 episode blocks, basically every other day. Next week, we're going to have a lot of shows coming. We got What If, Skeleton Crew, Creature Commandos, Sonic 3, and I also have an interview dropping with What If director Brian Andrews. He gave some very fun teases for some MCU projects and some behind the scenes stuff of who he wanted to, characters he wanted to use for What If, wasn't allowed to, things like that. So stay tuned because we got a really fun interview with him coming. I got to watch a movie called Carry On Netflix. The new Taron Egerton movie, kind of like a Die Hard Christmas-esque film where it's not as action-packed as I thought, but very suspenseful. And I thought it was a really, really fun movie. So definitely check out Carry On if you haven't. And I'm all caught up on Abbott Elementary now. Absolutely delightful, delightful show. But we're here to talk about Skeleton Crew. Arzeou, I want to throw it to you first because I haven't heard your thoughts on the series as a whole. 4 episodes in, how are you liking Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew surprised me because I think the marketing had me thinking it was going to be like a Goonies, E.T., 80s kind of thing. And it does definitely have that vibe, but I wasn't expecting it to be as piratey as it is. And I was very much a pirate kid. I grew up on a lot of pirate movies and shows and books and all that good stuff. So I have been very pleasantly surprised by how, I keep saying piratey, but how piratey Skeleton Crew is. And yeah, just like Treasure Island parallels and all this kind of stuff. So I'm really enjoying it. Like, I'm having a lot of fun with this show.
Carlos in chat, he's been here hanging out for all of our Skeleton Crew episodes, adding chaos to the chat. He says, Neel before Neel, because this character is so delightful, so much fun. Shout out to my guy, Flo Marie Donyeezy from my NFL fantasy football shows, coming to join us in chat as well. TCR, what do you think about episode 4?
I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the lore in episode 4. You can definitely feel the heartfelt side of the Daniels in this. I was, as the episode was ending, like, what really stood out to me that the Daniels brings, and it's definitely the heart. They really play with that very well. Also, random flips over things for no reason. Love it. It's kind of one of my favorite things in all of media. Parkour. But I really had fun. I really enjoyed it. The mystery of the Fallen Sanctum was really cool. And just the copy and paste nature of these different planets, it's very, as a civil engineer, definitely checks out. You just copy and paste those plans and hope that nobody realizes you made a mathematical error 75 iterations ago. It's cool. No one's going to die.
It's like when you're driving through a city and you just see a bunch of houses that look exactly the same because they were all built at the same time. And nowhere else in the city are there houses that look like that except for this one period that they just kept building and they're all just the exact same. But with planets, I don't know, Damon, is this feeding into your Attin isn't a real planet theory? What'd you think of episode 4?
Let me talk to you, TJ. It's
finally
it's not a real planet. It's not a real planet. No, still not a real planet. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. It ain't real. I'm still on that. This is all artificially made. They're on like some moon thing that it's not real. I'm still not buying it at all. This episode as a whole, I'll be honest, I wasn't really vibing with like the first 20 minutes of it. I don't want to call it a filler episode. It's not a filler episode. It is a very Neel-centric episode. But like not for me in that regard, but like the last 10 minutes when they finally get into that sanctorium and they're looking around and you're uncurling the mystery, and I was kept for the life of me. I'm like, why is like Smee over here keeps saying, I don't know, no, Attin. I was like, it was like, bro, I get it. And then it was like, I see what you mean now. So the last 10 minutes, definitely enjoyed it a lot more.
Do you know what that like can't say I remember no Attin made me think of? Was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when Coulson's response to Tahiti was always the exact same phrase.
Tahiti's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's like it's a beautiful place or whatever. I'm like,
yeah.
This is a conditioned response. This is not him just being like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It took me until I think the second one when I realized that this is what the episode is titled, and he said the exact same phrase again of, wait a minute, he doesn't remember it because he's not supposed to remember it. Episode 4, specifically Arzeou, what did you think about this episode in comparison to the other ones? And feel free to dive in wherever you want.
Yeah, I do agree that I think it was a bit slower than the other ones in the beginning. It sort of gave me like a Jedi Apprentice book vibe in that like we're here for this week and they have their own thing going on and we're going to leave and this conflict's going to continue after we go, like that sort of thing. And I'm like, I don't know how much time I want to invest in this thing that isn't going to wind up mattering, like the conflict between the two groups, as opposed to things like the copy pasted planet, the fact that all the coordinates to all these other 9 planets do that, like the lore stuff was really cool. The conflict stuff, I was like, okay, I would love this if this was a 20 episode season, but it's an 8 episode season. So I'm like, if you want to tell a very short story, you have to be very economical with how you're using your time. That said, like, I really like Neel. So I liked the Neel centric stuff. I do like what he had to say about like, peace is the answer kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, somebody finally said it. And then all of the stuff at the end, I really enjoyed. I thought the camera angles on SM33 when he's like bulking up to rip the kids apart was terrifying. It was a beautiful use of like some unconventional camera angles. So yeah, like there was stuff I really liked about it and then stuff I thought kind of dragged a little bit.
You know what I was getting out of it, TJ, with the whole 2 groups thing? I don't know if you've been watching a lot of it. I was getting great divide.
Yes,
vibes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
I was getting great, and I'm like sitting there. I'm like, oh god, no, oh no, not the one episode everyone continuously agrees is the worst episode.
Yeah, big Avatar: The Last Airbender vibes in this episode, and I was also watching that thinking like, Neel and Aang would just be the absolute best of friends. But I don't actually have much to add on episode 4 because I have the literal exact same thoughts as Arzeou. There's things I loved about this episode, but I also thought it was moving kind of slow. I agree with Damon that gave filler episode vibes, which I love, like Arzeou said, in a 20 episode season. But in the Disney Plus model that they give us, that I complain about in every single show we talk about, I say, hey, I love this, but wouldn't it be better if there was more of it? And that's how I feel about this too, is an episode like this where until the end, the plot is not moving very much, is fine in a 13 episode, 60-minute per episode season, or 20 episodes where they're 20 to 30 minutes a piece. Then it works great. In this, it does just kind of leave you wanting more a little bit. But the Neel character arc that we got, I thought was really awesome. And they tease the whole planets, carbon copy and paste planets from the beginning with when they realized this planet is called AREN and everything looks the same, but this isn't our planet. I did enjoy getting to meet the one character that we actually do meet of the Troiks, where the little relationship between Hayna and Neel throughout this episode, I thought that was really great, and I liked learning about Hayna's character and learning more about Neel. What did you think about their interactions, Arzeou?
I thought it was really sweet. I thought it was very much like this, this nerdy little boy has a crush on the cool older girl. And he's not like you said, it's very Aang, very Aang coded. I thought it was really cute. I thought like the perspectives that they shared of like him being like, well, you can just leave was like such an innocent thing. And she's like, I can't leave, obviously, but I can like apply this hopefully in the future. Like we'll get to that point, and just kind of the despair she has over the prospects of her future. This is gonna sound awful, is so Star Wars, because like this is the first time in this show that we've seen kids with like a very happy, wholesome, like well-adjusted suburban childhood, whereas usually it's either like child prodigies at the top of their game or else like children living in some sort of like drastic circumstances. And this is the first time we've come back to children in drastic circumstances. And I'm like, right, this is like, they really do live in two. Am I making sense? Like they really do live in two completely different spheres. And it was kind of like a reminder that it's Hayna, right? Her name?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hayna really does live in the same sort of like world that we are used to seeing in Star Wars, whereas these kids really don't.
Couldn't agree more. They're very sheltered. They're, I mean, literally and figuratively in a place nobody else can find that is separated from the rest of the world, but they don't know that. And they're just kind of living the privileged kid life where the worst thing in the world is, hey, I want to do something else. I want to go further than this place. I want to explore, which don't get me wrong, has some faulties. They're living in a very fascistic society that I wouldn't love, but in comparison to literal war, it's pretty cushy.
I'll take suburbia any day.
Yeah, exactly. Thomas, what did you think about the Troiks, the battle between them and the Hattins, and the relationship between Neel and Hayna?
The battle between the Troiks and the Hattins remind me of Obi-Wan and Anakin miniseries comic when they go to Carnelia 4, I think is what it was called, and they find for 10, 15 generations, these two sides have just been at war. No one can remember why they're at war. It's very AREN and AREN, if you know what the High Republic is. TJ, one day you'll get there. One day after you finish the Avatar.
Everyone else on this podcast is very High Republic averse, but not me.
Yeah. We will show you the ways, young Padawan. It's very much the same way. And I'm wondering, I mean, naturally, I'm like, how long has this war been going on? How many generations? What was the start of it? Are one half of them actually invaders from the very beginning, and etc. Anywho, I really enjoyed that aspect. I was trying to figure out while it was happening in the slow section. I was researching, like, is it the same planet? Did it have another name? I found literally nothing. It was a bummer, other than Carnelia 4. And the relationship itself was actually, I think it mirrored Whim in Fern in terms of like the very opposite attract energy and how they bounce off of each other. And it worked really well. Shout out the actress who played Hayna. What was her name? Hala Finley. She was crushing it. I felt like throughout the episode, she would have these little moments of like, oh, I'm in so much pain watching you be so kind. You would die here. You're a feeble little baby. And then there's moments where she's like, okay, feeble little baby who's not afraid to do the right thing at your own expense. It's pretty awesome, pretty brave, pretty kind. And I like the way it kind of builds up to the climax moment of, Neel being brave, so brave, such a brave little elephant boy that he passes out. It's so adorable. I mean, got a kiss and passed out. Who hasn't, right?
Classic. Like, it was just absolute perfect. Brave, kiss on the cheek. My job is done. It was fantastic. Damon, what did you think about their relationship? And then feel free to also dive into more of the Great Divide vibes of the Ganjins versus I don't remember what the other group was, with the Hattins versus the Troiks.
The fact that you even remembered one of the names of the tribes in the Great Divide shows how much you've been watching that show, and maybe you
I've
should
in the
watch
last
something
year,
else.
I've gone through at 5 times, Korra 3 or 4. Like,
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I
Dang.
mean, if anyone hasn't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, there is one episode in that entire show that everyone kind of unanimously agrees is like the least loved, and it is that one. It is The Great Divide because it is an entire episode that revolves around Aang and the crew stumble around these two tribes who've been at war for God knows how long. They don't even know how long. They don't even know why they're at war, to the point where Aang at the very end settles it by lying to them to settle it all and then goes away.
I don't
Brilliant.
even remember this episode. Now, granted, that was 4 years ago, but I don't remember it at all.
Because it has nothing to do with anything.
yeah, it's literally just like that is the filler episode right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It is the peak filler episode, although to a point, it is kind of funny because one of the Yang Chen novels, when you'll get to it, is actually loosely based off that episode a little bit out of spite. And it's kind of funny, but it works really, really, really well. So I was getting that big vibe out of this because, like, you both mentioned we don't know how long these two tribes have been at war with each other, but I thought the relationship that Neel had, it was cute. The the unnecessary backflips and the slidings and all that stuff, it got a good laugh out of me every time because that's just like, that's Star Wars to an extent. You have silly things like that and it's fun. So yeah, I thought it was cute.
I was kind of waiting for another shoe to drop at some point and have one of the adults among the Troiks just when they described at Attin be like, hey, I have that was what our planet was like one time. Like that's what they said the olden days looked like here on AREN. Like just something like that to add to the mystery of what the hell is going on with these
Because
planets.
Attin doesn't exist anymore, TJ. It's gone.
But I almost wonder if the reason it's really not ringing a bell for any of them, besides the whole we don't associate with outsiders thing, is we have SM-33 being like, yeah, I was here with my last captain and we like scratched out the coordinates and all of that. But like, we don't know how long ago that was.
Mm-hmm.
So this generation might not have even been alive yet.
Very true.
SM-33 has just been sitting there. So if they might truly have no memory of it, because even if they dared venture up there, like the record is destroyed.
I thought this episode really could have been 20 minutes longer with, what happened with SM-33 Jod and the Hattons. He described it quick, but let us see that side of the story a little bit. Dive if we're fillering, give us some fun adventures. Like give us a fun adventure to have. But we just kind of got them being captured. And then
which gave me the fun, like my biggest laugh in the entire episode when he's getting captured. He's just like, just shoot me. Like perfectly delivered.
Like I've had enough. I'm done. But the vibe it was when they came home and or they came back and he found the kids, the vibe it was giving was, speaking of all the Marvel rivals we were playing, Squirrel Girl in comics when she defeats some kind of big bad off panel. And then it's just referenced and no one ever sees Squirrel Girl actually fights these big, massive, scary villains, but they'll just be like, oh yeah, no, Squirrel Girl already beat them. And that's kind of what I got out of this with Jude Law coming in. It was like, no, I just handled it. What do you mean we're not going to see
reason
it?
Too. That's the best part. Just like with reason.
Yeah, exactly. SM-33 and Jod, I guess, save the day, but he steals Wim's money. And this is really when they get back together that even though we get Jod saves them, he saves the day. He's, hey, I don't want your pelts. I want the kids. He's looking very noble. Arzeou, do you trust this man?
I don't. Not for a second. I think I've had this theory. I've said it on our show and stuff that I'm like, he is gonna use the kids to get to Attin. He's going to sell them out at the last second to try to get back on top with his pirate crew. And then at the 11th hour, feel guilty, save them, and then they'll go their separate ways. Like Treasure Island. I'm like, that's what's going to happen. So I don't trust him at all. I don't even really fully trust that he just gave them money for the creatures and left. I'm like, I don't know what you said to them. Maybe
Mhm.
you promised them treasure from Attin to help win their war. Like we don't know any of that because we weren't there. And I'm going, maybe this is me like deluding myself as to why we didn't see any of that. I'm like, maybe because something's going to happen that we aren't supposed to see yet. Like we haven't left the planet yet. So that might come back next week. But I don't trust that he's done. I don't trust that he is like one of the good guys now. I think he's just trying to get the kids back on the ship, back to Attin so he can get the treasure he thinks is there.
At bare minimum, after seeing all those credits, you kind of got to think he's going to be like, hey, I'll get a handsome reward by bringing these kids back and then a ship at bare minimum. And I think it's important to note that all the good deeds we've seen so far have a self-serving interest woven into them. Every single good thing he does has also been self-serving, self-preserving, making sure that he stays alive. He eventually gets what he wants. TCR, it's after they're all reunited, we really get the Attin. I can't say I remember no Attin. I'm like, why was that a New York accent that popped into there a little bit?
That was good.
But this is why I leave the voice impressions to TCR. Don't try them myself. But we get all the Fallen Sanctum, I can't say I remember no Attin. This is where the plot finally weaves in to the overarching story. The mystery begins to unfold a little bit.
Yeah, it's really interesting how I think it's 9 planets, right? And there's 9 planets in our solar system. I don't know. I think they're trying to make a connection that Attin is Earth or Earth or Earth or what is it? C57, whatever you want to call it. That's what Attin is. I think it's Earth. Which I'm gonna just continue to say that's my theory. We are at Attin, just cut off from the galaxy because we're stupid humans. But I really enjoyed the finding all the coordinates to all the other planets because if they want, they can go on a tour of the old jewels, the jewels of the old Republic, or they could, not. But we see what looks to be
could not.
I mean, they probably won't. But I feel like, come on, 8 episodes. If it was 20, give me every planet, but we don't have time for that, like you said. The coming in through the nebula gases and then seeing all those broken down satellites, which at first glance, I was like, is that supposed to be Starlight Beacon? I was like, they didn't build it back. That's not how this works. Though, I mean, 200 years later, they might have. It looks like that is the barrier that they talk about for Attin. It has now been destroyed. It's come down. I'm wondering if we're going to see that from a different perspective with it. We come back to Attin. But on the floor of the supervisor's location, it looked like they had the symbols, the logo for Ahsoka, the star charts on the ground is what it looked like. But I thought that was where we were going to get the coordinates for it all. And they didn't go that way. So, maybe that'll be how they plot their way through. Although I'm wondering if they're just going to pull an L3 with the Millennium Falcon and just plug Smee's skeleton head in there and be like, take us to Attin. Can't say I remember no Attin.
Yeah, that
also,
was
shout out. I've been trying. I also thoroughly enjoy how all of these planets are called at something, at Akron, at Attin, at Hakron, at Assen, something like that, right? I don't know. Damon over here giving me that look with his fingerless gloves. Come on, man.
Want to
I don't remember them all.
Shout out Draco in chat. He says he's new here, but not to Star Wars. Absolutely loving Skeleton Crew so far. It is a absolutely delightful show. Welcome to your first stream. Thanks so much for tuning in. Everyone brand new, we appreciate you. Everyone who's a longtime viewer, we appreciate you as well. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got lots of great content coming. We got Skeleton Crew breakdowns every week. We got What If breakdowns coming. We have interviews for What If dropping shortly, as well as our Skeleton Crew episode after shows each and every week. What do you got, TCR?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that Fern like breaks down entirely when it's like,
That was
right,
actually my favorite part of this episode.
she killed that scene. I mean, it's just, I mean, the way her voice is breaking and she's trying to say the words, just absolutely crushing it. And Wim's like, no, you'll figure it out. Like you'll figure it out. And I really enjoyed the male female dynamic there of like, I'm feeling my feelings. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then he's just like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Like that's the problem. Figure it out. And my girlfriend's watching, so I know I do this all the time. So I'm so sorry, babe. But it's just like the masculine urge to just be like, well, you got this. You got this. And she's like, I'm telling you, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've been playing this the whole time. I just wanted to get home, and now we're lost forever. And then he says something that sparks her memory to just go do the memory override, which turned out super awesome. If I say so not. And then I really like Arzeou mentioned the camera angle was I'm trying to remember what they call it, but it's like that dolly on the body, like in what is that movie? Get Him to the Greek, when he gets stabbed in the leg with the adrenaline and it's like, bro, my life. It's that. I just don't remember what that dolly shot is called, where it's attached to the body and you've got two different cameras and you get that bird's eye perspective in there. Fantastic use of that. Really brought some interesting energy, I think, to that scene, because it was feeling cinematically stale until that point, and then it's like, okay, stuff's happening. Shout out to Ryan Kiera Armstrong. That was just filibustering until I could find her name on IMDb. Shout out, she's crushing it. She's so far, outside of Neel, has been my favorite character thus far, and I think this is just putting her, man, her and Neel are like there, right there. They're just soul pals, man.
She reminds me of a young Han Solo, but I gotta say that was my favorite part of the episode, where those two of them were having that conversation. You could really feel the Daniels direction in that conversation, where it's the kind of the reminder that like, hey, they're kids, they get scared, they get homesick, they haven't done this before. This is the first time off their planet. And I just thought it was a really awesome scene between the two of them. But on a even more serious and important note, Damon, the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, shows up in New Haven, Connecticut, and he gives you a phone call, and he says, Damon, I have tied up two people you really care about in a warehouse. They are strapped with fuel, and there's
Where are you going with this?
Blow up. You can only save one of Neel and Jeff the Landshark.
Oh,
I'm
why?
saving Jeff.
Who gets
I'm
saved?
sorry.
And you're just letting the Joker blow up Neel?
I'm saving Jeff. I'm sorry.
Arzeou, I don't know if you got a chance to play any Marvel Rivals yet, or how familiar you are with Jeff the Landshark. But
I'm actually very familiar with Jeff, even though I've not played the game, because he is all over all of my social media feeds.
yeah,
I've had Jeff.
Are you saving Jeff or are you saving Neel?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Neel, because I don't know Jeff very well.
See, and I've had Jeff for like years, plural, in my life, and I've had Neel for 2 weeks. That's not fair.
Tie. You saving Neel or you saving Jeff?
I'm gonna phone a friend and we're gonna save both. The difference is I'm not gonna call a dumb human named Harvey Dent. We're gonna get this done.
Either Neel or Jeff are gonna be wound up as Two-Face now, and they're gonna be a villain. None of us deserved or wanted. I don't remember how the line goes.
The hero the needed, not deserved. I don't know. Neither of them are getting Rachel. That's for sure.
TCR and Damon have given us pieces of their theories of what the hell is going on with all of these planets. Arzeou, what do you think is happening? We know why the coordinates are scratched out. We know it was SM33, our guy Smee, who did it. But who is this captain? Where did he end up? What's going on with this planet? We're at the halfway point. Where do you think we go from here?
I mean, I think the whole thing made me think of Treasure Island. In that, like, the captain has got something hidden on Attin and wants to make sure nobody else gets there. I don't know if the captain is still on at Attin. He might be the supervisor, like I don't know, and he's just kind of overseeing that treasure, but wants to make sure nobody else gets there. I have no idea why at this point, because in Treasure Island it is just treasure, and that's just what they're trying to keep safe. But obviously, like there's something bigger going on with all these copy pasted planets, and the fact that they're all analyzing data for absolutely no reason that we know of. So I don't know if the data is the treasure, like whatever they're working on is what this captain wanted to protect. So that's what I think is happening, is that the captain actively wanted to protect whatever was happening on Attin for his own purposes. I'm just not at this point clear what those purposes are. I think if you'd asked me last week, I probably would have had a different thought. But
all I really care about in terms of my theories going forward is I want to see Hondo. Give me my guy Hondo, and that's all I want in this series going forward. Have him and Jude Law get in a little argument about who is the best person to lead these group of kids back home for their own self-serving reasons. That's what I want. TCR, give the reason why this is a real planet that is mimicking Earth, like you said, and not some fake place like Damon is. I'm going to give Damon to give his reasoning, and then I'm going to give my favorite theory on what this planet could be.
Why is it a real planet? Because we saw them leave the atmosphere, kind of, sort of, but maybe not really. We'll see in the future.
What's the purpose? What is the great work? What are they building?
All of these other planets, as Arzeou was just talking, and all of a sudden that popped into my head. What if the captain of this ship was actually, in my mind, by the way, this ship crashed in the High Republic era long ago when it was still lost. This planet is, that ship is pretty old, but not too old to not be flown again. But depending on when these planets all went down, I'm wondering if maybe the captain of that ship went and destroyed all these other planets, took over the supervisor role, took their stuff, took it back to Attin, and built that treasure and legacy. And why is it a planet? I don't know, man. It seems like it has a sun. You got to have some sort of heating source as well. I don't believe that they could afford, I say that, but it's literally a treasure planet. They could totally afford planet-wide heating and cooling. An HVAC system that large is fantastic. I love that the school was designed to have a massive gun on top. So clearly these planets have a planetary defense system. So I think the importance of the planet is perhaps it was the treasury of the old Republic. And then I'm hoping we get some Sith War stuff. Come on, just give me Revan in a holocron somehow. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for a lot. Just canonize, one of the greatest Sith and Jedi of all time. It's no big deal. It's fine.
I feel like all of a sudden my request for Hondo seems a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damon, I'm not letting you get out of here just by saying, I don't think they're planets. I don't know what that means, but I don't think they're real. Give me what they are. If they are little mini satellite Death Stars, that utopias that look like planets, why are they there? Who put them there?
Ooh, I don't know.
I need more.
Speculate.
Let me say this. I'm getting very strong, El Dorado, Atlantis vibes out of this place. That's what I'm getting out of it, where it's like, is it even real type of thing? So, in my mind, they could possibly go to the real Attin, but it's not actually where they live, because that Attin is gone and lost, just like these planets. So where they are actually from, it could be like a Death Star type of thing.
Okay.
That's kind of where my brain is leaning towards, is that because clearly Attin is possibly, at least was, a place with all that star charts that we saw today. But maybe when they finally get there, that's not actually their home. Because that's what I was starting to feel like when they landed on this planet. I was like, oh, they're here. Oh, no, never mind. Different planet. But I was starting to get that same vibe. Or even if they get there, like the planet is like straight up destroyed.
So it's funny you mentioned that. Last week, Kleinfeld on the Rebellion said the exact same thing, that the Attin that they come from is not the real one. They're going to go to a fake one. And when it started this week, I was like, oh my God, that Canadian son of a blue was right. How did he know? Where did he pull that from? But his other idea
automatically adds a few IQ points to you. Ours you can confirm.
It's true.
Yeah, well, I live down here in the South, so we don't read good. That's why we have audiobooks. Thank you for that. But his other idea was that Attin is actually like, when they left some kind of time space thing. Don't know how he got to this, but when they go back, it's going to be like years in the future, and they feel like they're going to be gone, but they're actually going to show up, and it's like dad's old and all this stuff. And I'm like, Klein, I don't know why you're pulling out of my bag of theory tricks, but I like where your head is going. Yes, I love that they broke the time-space barrier and they're just doing it.
I'll keep it very, very spoiler free since Arzeou is just diving into it right now.
Oh,
but it's giving oh my gosh, what's the place called that they're trying to find throughout all of Jedi Survivor?
I know that's what.
And I guess I won't spoil it. That I won't. If it's okay that I forget the name, because that way it's even less spoilery. But there's a place that they're looking for that is secret and separated from the known galaxy and what they can see in their satellites all throughout Jedi Survivor. And I can't even remember the name of it right now. But that's what Attin is giving to me, of like this place that you need to go adjust a few 12 different things and arrays and portals with Cal Kestis before you can actually enter it. That's kind of what I'm seeing with Attin. And my favorite theory that I've seen on it, I apologize because I don't know how to credit the person where I saw it from, because it was a random tweet a couple weeks ago. But the more I thought about it, the more I really like this theory. And is that Attin is the reason it's hidden is because that was the good old Sith and Palpatine or whoever that hid it as a working planet to build up their empire of weapon arsenals without anybody knowing it. And, when you see things like the sequel trilogy and you go, well, how did the First Order or the Final Order build up all these ships? Where did it come from? Where were they manufacturing everything? How'd they get this fleet? Maybe they got some planets like Attin where the great work is nobody asking any questions and just living their cushy lives so that they keep building these massive arsenals for Palpatine and whoever else, what have you. That's kind of my favorite theory I've seen so far. Arzeou, any final thoughts before we get out of here on Skeleton Crew episode 4?
I'm trying to put them together now. Can you come back to me? I want to say this coherently.
Absolutely. Damon, what any final thoughts on the episode? And if not, what do we have on the Comment Corner this week?
Yeah, overall, I thought this episode was okay. Probably my least favorite out of the 4, and that's just because, like we mentioned, it has a little bit of filler stuff. The filler stuff for me personally didn't hit as hard, but the last 10 minutes really kind of saved the episode for me, like the mystery and really pushing the entire plot forward that I really enjoyed. Over on the Comic Corner, we're talking comics. We have Ultimate Spider-Man this week. Isn't that fantastic? Everyone's favorite book, and it's the 12th issue, and it's Christmas themed, magical. It's gonna be great.
Nothing more refreshing than an uplifting and fun Spider-Man story after what the Amazing Spider-Man story has, the mainline Spider-Man story has been over the past few years. Shout out to Carlos
no Paul,
and Chad,
it's great.
Shout out to Carlos and Chad, always bringing the funny jokes. They think they started at Attin, but they're actually from far from it, and they have to go to Tatooine to figure it out. So that was pretty fun play on words there. TCR, final thoughts on episode 4. And where can the people find the Reckless Rebellion podcast? What are you chatting about over there?
Episode 4, liked it, didn't love it, had moments that I really loved. It continues to expand upon the mystery of what Attin and these jewels of the Old Republic really are. It is scratching the itch of time travel without actually traveling time, based on expanding upon the lore. and I'm reading Tempest Breaker right now, and I'm just like I'm listening to Tempest Breaker. Excuse me. We already expressed I don't know how to read. I'm just like searching for any tiny little nugget of a trace of a hint of the High Republic in live action outside of the Acolyte, because I need that in my life. But the Rebellion, you can find us in all podcast platforms, as well as the Twitter sphere at Reckless Rebels, RECKLESS, add one extra S. Head on over to Instagram, and that's where you can watch us drop some clips here and or there. We are talking about, you'll never believe it, guys, episode 4 this week of Skeleton Crew. It's going to be a crazy time. Got Aaron Perrine from Phase Hero lined up. Got to double check that confirmation myself, but he's scheduled to come on. So we're going to have a fun time talking about this. We're going to talk about Neel. I'm going to yell at Klein, tell him to stop reading my Spark notes on what's happening in this show, and just admit that Kang's the best, the best Marvel villain of all time. It's fine. It's not a big hurdle at all.
Shout out to your co-host Klein, because I had the tweet a couple days ago of the Spider-Man Far From Home bit where everywhere I go I see his face, and I posted Jeff the Landshark. Just a few minutes ago, Klein tweeted that about Neel, and so we have the bit Neel versus Jeff the Landshark in this podcast, and we both use the same tweet template for those two characters. Arzeou, final thoughts for Skeleton Crew episode 4 and what's going on at the Geeky Waffle?
Yeah, so I think my thoughts kind of echo what's been said. I liked it. I didn't love it the way I did the earlier stuff. I really loved the lore stuff, the mystery about Attin, because I'm always here for a good mystery, and I'm always here for a good pirate adventure. It's really taking me back to the kinds of stories I loved growing up, again, which I didn't think it was going to. So that stuff I adored. The rest I'm like, okay, I see why we're doing this, but I think we spent maybe a little too long on it. As for what's going on at the Geeky Waffle, we are talking about Skeleton Crew this week. We are back doing our weekly TV recaps. So we are talking Skeleton Crew episode 4. And yeah, we've got a bunch of other stuff going on non-Star Warsy. We've got a Stargate podcast. We've got the Geeky Waffle with our general, like, assorted geeky interests. Those are our most, like, ongoing stuff. We have all kinds of stuff on our website. So that's all thegeekywaffle.com. So yeah, we're very busy. Clearly.
It's a busy time of year, and it's only going to get busier through 2025 with all the amazing content dropping. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any of our shows. Next week, we'll be talking more Skeleton Crew. As long as all goes well, we will have our friend and comic creator and Star Wars Twitter all-star celebrity, Tommy Listella, joining us for a breakdown of the Skeleton Crew. And on Thursday this week, and every Thursday, we'll be talking Creature Commandos live at 9 a.m. Eastern Pacific time and 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. Creature Commandos, make sure you join us for that. And next week, we will be having our live shows talking What If, as well as dropping our interview with What If director Brian Andrews. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. To those who joined live, to those who joined after the fact, we appreciate you. Follow the podcast, follow the YouTube channel, follow the socials. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself, Damon, TCR, and Arzeou. Oh yeah, wait. Before we get out of here, they're on the screen for those who are seeing on you on video, but for the audio folks, podcast form, TCR, where can people find you on socials?
Oh, yeah. You can find me everywhere at TC Rochester Act, TCROCHESTERACT.
Arzeou, where can people find you on socials?
I'm at Arzeou Amin on Twitter and Blue Sky, and at ArzouD2 on Threads and Instagram.
I love your Threads and Instagram handles so much. Extra shout out to Carlos Freites in chat, because I was talking about how great the chat was last time and I forgot to mention him. But he's holding it down as per usual, so shout out to him. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. On behalf of me, Damon, TCR, Arzeou, we will see you next time. Peace.